management and network measurement. So this is the one of the workshops that we have started the series of workshops last year. So this is going to be the third workshops. We may have several workshops in near future. So to start with, let me invite our head of Learn, Professor Roshan Ragel, to welcome all of you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Engineer Herath. And thank you, everyone, for joining. And I see a large number. Happy to see you all again. However, this time again online. I hope in the future we will be able to meet in person. So this, like Engineer Herath mentioned, this workshop is one in a series of workshops we do at Learn. And at this point of time, as you all know, it's sort of very difficult situation we are all in. The only good thing we have is people, all of you as engineers in various institutions around the country, higher education institution. So it is you all who are running this system with all these travel limitations we have. Most of the things are happening online. And at the same time, we also have problems doing things online, limitations in resources, buying new hardware, replacement for hardware, all that are crippled, and we have various issues. And therefore, we are the best thing we have is all the human resource we have. And therefore, knowing how you can do or make the best out of the resources we have, the infrastructure we have is through these workshops. So this workshop's intention is to train you all and make you all able to make use of this infrastructure and the systems we have, although it's limited. So I think it's again a timely workshop for us to have where you can share your experiences, learn from each other, and learn from the team we have who are in this domain for a very long time and have a lot of experience. So I take this opportunity again to welcome you all and taking a time off and joining this session. So thank you all for doing that. And I hope and wish you all a good workshop. And I also take this same opportunity to thank the Learn team who is running this workshop. Amidst all there are other difficulties, they are also going through similar difficulty with the services we do and the infrastructure we have. So amidst that, they are coming forward to train you all and help you all with this workshop. So I take again this opportunity to thank you all and welcome and wish you all a good workshop. Thank you. Over to you, Engineer Herath.
Thank you, Professor Ragel. So as Professor said, so we are in a very difficult situation. So where we won't be able to get a lot of hardware resources in regarding system resources as well as network resources. We have to deal with whatever we have at the moment. So I think so this workshop going to help you how you can more tune up your available infrastructure so that you can have a better service on the existing system. So with that, let me go to the content of the workshop. So let me share my screen first. Deepthi, can I get the sharing permission? Thank you, Deepthi. So, so you all can find the content at the Learn websites if you just visit www.ac.lk. So under the news item, either under the training, you can find the workshop detail, that is network management and network measurement. So there you can find some brief description about the workshop content what we are going to do. So also you can find the link below to the our event management system, where you can find the timetable and agenda, all other details. Let's move to the agenda. So it's taking time. Maybe everybody is accessing at the moment. All right. So as you mentioned, so this is going to be about network management. So we had a couple of workshops on network monitoring, where you learn how you can monitor the network using various open source tool sets. So after that, we had a workshop called Tuning Up Campus Network, where basically we covered the most essentials of campus network design, where you learn a lot about how you can design a campus network, what are the devices you have to use, how your network circuits have to be here and there, and all those things. So after that, so we are going to learn and train about how you can manage that type of network, as well as the type of system resources. So at the same time, we are going to talk about how you can measure the network things like latency, maybe throughput, as well as other figures, where you can get some idea about the how your network is performing. So that is what we are going to basically cover at this workshop. So in this workshop, you will learn a lot of quite few open source tools that you can use to manage your network, as well as you can do some measurements to identify the if any issues in the network, or if you want to identify how your network perform at a particular time. So that is the basic idea behind this network workshop. So so we request you to have some sort of requirement to participate with this workshop, that is that to have a laptop with certain configuration, 8 GB RAM and 225 GB free disk space. That is to run our virtual lab environment. So that is going to run as a VM in VirtualBox. So you have to have a laptop with 8 GB RAM with VirtualBox installed. So with that, let us talk about our team. So myself, Sanu Hirat, the network and system manager of Learn, who is handling the network technical team. Then our network engineer, who is handling the network side, Mr. Dhammika Lalantha. So Geethika Jayasinghe is the our newest person who has recently joined with Learn, working as a tech engineer of Learn. So Deepthi, also you most of you know Deepthi Gunasekara, our tech engineer. So Tuan is our application support engineer. Dusmantha, our Linux engineer who supporting Learn to develop most of the new stuff for Learn services. So that is our team. At the same time, our operational and administrative teams helping us in various ways to conduct this workshop. So at the same time, I have to mention about Learn Management, including Professor Roshan, Head of Learn, and Board of Directors for supporting this workshop. So this workshop going to be in 4 days, starting from today, so until Friday. So we are going to start at 9:30. So there will be a 2-hour session until first session at 9:30 to 12:30. The second session is start at 2 and going to end up at 4 p.m. So it doesn't mean that we can finish at the 4 p.m. That might take some time if you are going to take more time on lab works. So it depends on you. So we can finish on exactly 4, but I don't think most of you can finish on 4 p.m. Because of you have to install things, you have to configure, you have to give commands, you have to check various status and all that. So it might take time depending on your experience on Linux and networking. So some might finish early, some might finish exactly at 4, some won't be able to finish at 4. So it doesn't matter. So you can continue until throughout the day to finish the daily work. So that is must. First day, it is better if you can finish the first day laboratory work during the day, spending some time overnight. That is fine. So each session, each section, you have to do some laboratory works where you will get some things set up on your laptop, virtualized setup on your laptop, monitor or measure or manage your virtualized network. Virtualized network in the sense the network that we have configured at the last campus network workshop. So if you can remember, if you have joined to last workshop, you can remember we configure a campus network virtually, almost complete campus network, including all the key devices, firewall, layer 3 switches and layer 2 switches and VLAN and all that. So we did that the network. So that network is going to be used as an underlying infrastructure for this workshop. So you don't have to worry about that. The work you did, we will provide all the completed work as a VM or as a configuration, so that you can quickly install on your laptop. So you don't have to worry about that for the previous workshop. For those who didn't participate to the workshops, the material on the website under the training. So you can, if you have time, you can go through the content. Just you can review the contents what we have done at the workshops. So for each session, so each lab work, so what you have to do is you have to do follow all the instructions. You have to configure, execute all the command, configure every systems, and see the output, expected output you can achieve. So that has to be going to be your responsibility. So you can do the work. So if you have any question, you can talk to the instructors over the chat or over the phone. So you can find all the instructors contact number under the Learn contact page. You can talk to them, get the help, and complete the lab work during the day. If you can complete that during the day, that is going to be good. So every laboratory works at the end of the instruction page. There should be some sort of requirement of submission requirement. So that can be a few screenshots, that can be a configuration file. So each lab instruction page, end of that, so you will see that requirement. So once you finish the laboratory work, lab work, you have to submit that what we have requested. So it can be a configuration file, that is the what we have completed, configuration file that reflect that you have done the work. Also that can be a few screenshots, so that the team can identify that you have followed the instructions, you have done the work properly. So if you have any problem, anytime you can talk to any of the instructor and get your issues clarified. So that is how this workshop going to be during the 4 days. So it is going to be a requirement that you submit all the required configuration file and screenshot, so that we can look at how you have performed, and also we can issue the certificate of completion of the workshop. So that is how this is going to be. So with that, let me go through the agenda. So at the first day today, so at the first session, we are going to talk about Linux. This is not going to be a more detail about Linux. This is just the basic Linux, where you need some sort of knowledge to complete the rest of the work. So this is basically going to be how you can install Linux, in this case Ubuntu, on a VM or on a computer, and also how you can check the configure network, and how you can give few commands to see the disk space files, and how to edit a file, and see the environment status, and whether the network is working or not, and all those things will be discussed under this Linux basics session. So you don't have any lab work in this first session, so there will be a demonstration from the instructor to show how you can install the Linux and how you can manage the Linux installation, so on. So that is going to be a just demonstration. You can look at that, and you can learn how you can do that if you don't have experience, if you don't have much experience on Linux at the moment. So in the second sessions, we are going to talk about start the network measurements. We will discuss about how we can do the measurements, what are the network measurements that we can do, all those things. So at the same time, we will give you the instructions how you can set up the your lab environment. So you need certain setup to continue the rest of the work. So during this session, the second sessions today, so you will learn, you will set up your computer, your virtual environment, so that you can perform the rest of the work of the workshop. So that is the first day. So in the second day, we will talk about something called smoke ping. That is where you use this to measure the network latency, how your network, how your reachability to the various devices on your network. So it can be to your various devices, core devices in the network. It can be to your outside devices. It can be to your outside internet as well. So that is, and there you will learn how you can measure the latency. That is basically how much time taken to one packet go to the particular destination and come back. So that is the latency measurement. So, and latency monitoring. So you will learn how smoke pin does the work for you. So that is the first session of the second day. The second session going to be about another tool, which is called Persona, where you can use it for various kind of latency measurement. For example, you can measure the latency, you can measure the round trip time, or you can have a test, various tests on something called trace route. It can be a forward trace route. It can be a reverse trace route from somewhere else, maybe somewhere else in the internet. Reverse spin. It can be a reverse spin. Also, you can measure throughput, how your particular circuit perform, how much bandwidth you can pass through particular circuit, and so on. So that is basically going to be about Persona. So the smoke pin and also the Persona going to be to run your network, so that you can do the measurement. You can monitor the network. So you have to install those system as a server in your network. Smoke pin you have to install Smart Pin server. So also you have to install Persona server in your network so that you can make use of those tools that so that you can monitor and measure your network performance. The third day, so Persona Lab continues. If you have left some work, you can complete during the first session of the third day. So that is so until the first session of third day, that is going to be on network measurements. So thereafter, we are going to talk about network management. Basically, we are going to cover a couple of tools to cover certain areas. First thing is managing the customer request. So your user has various issues on network. So they might send you an email, they might talk to you. So the question is whether you handle those well, whether you keep a record on those requests, whether you handle those requests well. So that is the idea. So in this session, so we are going to use open source tools to handle all the customer requests. That is basically handle how you can handle the help desk. So what is called request tracker, where you can install on your computer and use it to handle all the email requests, maybe phone requests, all the requests, handle all the requests, and you can keep a record of those requests. Also, you can use the system to handle if you have a several level of troubleshooting team, maybe first level help team, second level your help team. So you can escalate those requests to various level and get their concern and get them to resolve and get back those requests back to the reception and convey that to your customer. So at the same time, the system will help the customer to handle their request, follow up their request well. So the system will give them a request ID. So using request ID, so your customer, your users can follow up their request, how those requests has been handled and resolved. So at the end of the day, at the end of the month, for some sort of managerial purpose, you can have a report on what are the requests came, how many requests came, how many resolved. So how much date taken, those dates taken to resolve those issues. So what are the issues that cannot be resolved, and so those reports can be generated, and you can take various decisions based on those reports. So that is going to be about request handling under the network management. So at the fourth day, we are going to cover another two areas. One is configuration management. So when you have a large network, you have various configuration on various devices. So time to time, you have to change those configuration. So you don't know if you want to see what is the configuration of my layer 3 switch had in a year ago. So you can't remember, or you don't have a record. So if you manage the configuration well using some sort of good tool set, so you will be able to track all those things. You can also, at the same time, you can back up your configuration for safe sites. For example, if your core device fail, so you have completely failed, so it cannot get it cannot be get live again. So you have to have a new device. So you are going to lose all the configuration. So that is going to be a huge headache for you. So that you have to start configuring the new device, spending a lot of time. If you have the previous configuration, last few previous configuration, so you can get sometime you can get the same configuration uploaded into the new device and get the network immediately up. So if you have the configuration backup, regular backup on your network. So the system that we are going to talk to is Oxidize. So that will help you to manage your configuration. It will retrieve the configuration from the device, keep it somewhere, it will if you change the configuration, the changes will be recorded. If you want to change the differences, and you can check it there. So at the same time, if you have many in the team, so one might change the configuration, so others don't know. That is going to be a problem. So if you have this system, if someone change the configuration, that will be notified to your email address. So you know someone has changed the configuration last night. So this is the changes made. So that is, all those things will be recorded. All those will be kept for later reference. So all the configuration changes, all the versions will be kept there. So you can later refer all the version history of your configuration. So that is the idea using configuration management using a tool like Oxidize. So next sessions, second session, last session of the workshop is going to be another important tool set. So if you think about your network, so have you recorded how you have connected your network devices, how you have connected various department buildings? Do you know what pair of what core of fiber used to connect the device? So your link fiber may have 8 cores, maybe 2 has to have been used. Do you know which pair has been used? So also, do you know which port had been connected to the particular department? Have you recorded somewhere? No, sometimes no. So you have to go and look at, you have to go and trace all mess-up cable throughout the mess-up cable to identify which port has connected to which department. So that is going to be huge problem if you are going to do some sort of troubleshooting. So if you have a record, proper record somewhere, so before you go into the troubleshoot the problem, you can look at the record, your documentation, and see which port of the layer 3 switch has been connected to the department, physics department. So before you go into the place, you know all the detail about the port numbers, and for fiber cores, patch panel numbers, patch panel ports, all those details you know before you go into the physical place. So at the same time, if you connect your servers to your network devices, you don't know, sometime your mail server has been connected to the which port of the layer 3 switch, or which part of the layer 2 switch. So most of the time you don't know if you haven't recorded them well. So idea behind this session is to tell you how you can use a tool called Netbox, and again open source tool to record, properly document your network. So it can help you to document everything in your network. You can document your racks, how many patch panels you have, what are the number of ports you have, and what are the ports you have, and what are the devices you have placed in the your equipment rack, what are those devices, and what are the serial numbers of devices. At the same time, you can manage your inventory of the device, serial numbers, your warranty period, your warranty contracts, and all those details can be documented in this tool set, that is Netbox. So the last session you will learn how you can use Netbox to properly document your network. So that is going to be the end of the tracks, all 4 days. So so what you have to do is you have to install all those tools virtually in a virtual environment that we provide, that we are going to teach you during the second session of today. So you have to install all those things, you have to configure all the systems, and see you have to configure devices. All the system is mockping, Persona, Oxidize, and Request Tracker for certain sample networks, and then you have to submit. I have to tell you again, you have to submit certain configuration file screenshots so that for us to identify that we have followed the lab work. So that is going to be the lineup. At the end of the session, last session, you have to support us filling up this feedback form and give your feedback about the workshop. And also you can find another page, what is called instructor availability. So if you want to pick up an instructor, you can see or you can pick up the one of the free instructor for your lab support. At the same time, no one getting free. So you are hurry to finish it up. You can just make a call. You can give us a phone call. So that is how things are going to be. With that, let us start the first session. Let me invite our first instructor, Tuan Jalil, to start with Linux basics. Tuan, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think everyone can hear me.
Yes, Tuan, we can. I can hear you.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Yeah.
We can see your screen.
Okay, right. So this is the first session, and so I'm Tuan, and I'm the application support engineer at LAN. And so before starting all the lab works and the demonstration and everything, so first should know about something regarding Linux. The thing is that all the systems and all the file systems, commands and everything is based on Linux. And so we are using Ubuntu server version in here. There's the thing is that there's no any graphical user interface, GUI. Everything is based on command line. So whatever the things that you can see, it's in commands. And so in here we will first we'll talk about what about Linux and architecture and file systems and the basic commands of Linux. That I think those things will be helpful for you to proceed all the workshop. So otherwise, if you're having if you lack of knowledge in Linux, so better to tune up that one also. The thing is that otherwise it is not that much complex, but if you know the basics and everything, then you can continue with the workshop. It's not like Windows or Mac. It's everything. I mean, it's based on command line. So you can add a GUI, but if you're using a command line, it will be really easy for you to use. And so yeah, so in here, this is the overview. First of all, we'll talk about the history of Linux architecture and Linux file system, and there will be a demonstration. So in here, even you can go through the presentation as well. And in here, we will talk about the history of Linux, when it started and up to now, how long it's going on. Likewise, the history will be just kind of a basic idea will give it to you, and also the Linux architecture. So the hardware, kernel, and everything we will talk about in here, and the Linux file system, how the file system is distributed, and so it will be helpful for you to know the Linux file system and also the demonstration. So in here we'll talk about how to install Linux to your PC, or if you're using a VM virtual machine. So in here I will be using a virtual machine to use. And so in there we will talk about I will go through the demonstration, and even if you have the time, you can also install as well. And also in the agenda, in here have mentioned the demonstration as well, so you can go through with the meantime. And also the Linux access, and so the user access and everything we'll talk about in here, and the Linux commands. So in here, Linux commands, some basic commands, and also some little bit of advanced commands also we'll talk in here. And so mostly the system commands that that you want to know, and also file permissions. So this is one important part in here. So how to use the file permissions, and to whom, and what are the permissions, even for different documents or else file folders, you can give the permissions. And also we'll talk about editors in here. So in editors, we'll talk how to use the editors and how to save it and those stuffs. And also package management, so installing packages, and removing packages, updating, those things will be talking there. And after that, system handling commands, same as Linux commands. In Linux commands, we'll talk about the basics, and system handling commands will be talk about some advanced features. And also for the final part will be conclusions and questions. If you have any questions and questions, you can ask, or else you can use the chat window to ask questions. And so we'll go to the history. It's all about started in 1960s. In 1969, so when the Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie developed the C language, and it's a Unix operating system at AT&T Bell Labs. So in that time, the features are mentioned like multi-use and multitasking systems, hierarchical directory structures, programming facility, and documentation. It's not much in there, but as a startup, it's the basics things are available in unique features. And in 1980s and 1990s, it developed, and so many companies developed their own Unix systems. And for the GNU project, Richard Stallman has started that one. And also the commands that we are using in Linux are GNU tools. And it was in 1980s, and in 1990s, it's 1991, the kernel and Linus Torvalds write a kernel and share the code. So in combination of this kernel and GNU tools becomes Linux. So everything was, and not only was, it means up to now everything is free, and it's free to use, and anyone can download it and anyone can use it, or else you can change it according to your requirements. And when talk about the distribution, Linux distribution is collection of software, and it's top of a kernel. So we will talk about what is kernel in future slides. So and distribution can bundle server software, system management documentations, and many desktop applications, and provide common look, feel secure, and easy software management, often specific operational purposes. So in here, the aim is to provide a common look, so everyone can have a common look and feel, but not a different one. I mean, from person to person, it won't be different, but everyone will have a common look and feel, and also it's easy and secure. And when talk about the distributions, there are many distributions available in the market right now. For example, Red Hat. And under Red Hat, RHEL is available, Fedora, Ubuntu, Debian, and those things are some examples for popular distributions, and also other distributions like CentOS, Linux Mint, Linux Lite. And for if you have a small computer within small with limited features, so you can use Linux Mint or Linux Lite and open USC, Kali, Slackware, Solus. Sometimes there are called parrots, and so on. There are many other distributions as well. So if you go through the internet and if you search it for popular distributions for under Linux, then you can find more than the listed distributions in here. So it's up to you, those who are willing to learn more things about distributions and everything. So you can go through and you can explore the new distributions for yourself. And also if you can share those among with your colleagues, and you can improve your knowledge as well. So when talk about the Linux system architecture, you can see here a small image in your right hand side. So normally the architecture is divided into two levels: the user space and kernel. In here, the user space and the kernel space, so altogether it's called Linux. So under user space, user applications are available, and it's on C library. So in the kernel space, system call interface and the kernel architecture dependent kernel code is available, and the hardware platform. So all the Linux architecture is under hardware platform. So without hardware and the kernel space, there will be no any user space. So it's a small detailed diagram shown in the slide. So, and for if you talk about more detailing, so when talk about the user space, so GNUC library is implemented, user applications are executed. This included shells. So when talk about shell, interface between user and kernel, and can be more than one. User can swap between them, command line and graphical user interface. So those are the user space details according to the Linux architecture. And also when talk about the kernel space, it's a bit complicated, but if you once you look to the image carefully, and if you focus into one by one, then you can have a better idea how the applications and all the user space, kernel space, and hardware space is divided, and all the three layers are available, and how these things are communicating each other. Likewise, you can have an idea. So in here, the applications is system call interfaces. So in here, system call interfaces are communicating with process management, memory management, file systems, device control, and networking. So those in here, these parts are its kernel subsystems, and all in those kernel subsystems will communicate with system call interface and applications. And in between that one, the kernel services are available. It's concurrency, multitasking, virtual memory, files and distributes the VFS, and device access and connectivity. And the device drivers are ARC-dependent codes, memory manager, file system types, and the block devices, character devices, network subsystem, and IF drivers. So all these things are communicate with hardware space, and that's how the kernel space works. And for more details, you can, or else you can go through in the internet and you can study it by yourself as well. And when talk about the kernel space, system call interface, and it provides platform to perform functions from user space to kernel space and architecture dependent. And when talk about the kernel subsystem, and I think if you remember the kernel subsystem, it's mentioned in here. The process management, memory management, and file system, device control, and networking are connected with the kernel subsystem. And also when the process management, it's under process management, create and destroy processes, communication among different processes, control how processes share CPU. And also the memory management, manage in pages, control available memory, control physical and virtual memory mappings. In here, you can see all the kernel space, how it works and how it communicates within the kernel subsystem, kernel services, and device drivers. So that's how this kernel space works. And in here, the device control. So all the device control operations are performed by code called a device driver. And device driver registers with the kernel and handle input output request of the device. And also when talking about the networking, it operates not specific to a process and incoming packet are asynchronous. And the kernel is charged of delivering data packets across program and network interfaces. So when talk about the file systems, and normally you know about the file system in Windows, and it's maybe FAT32 or else NTFS. So in here Linux file system, there are it supports more than one file system types. So the Linux abstract file system operations through the virtual file system. So we call this VFS. It provides an interface for user mode programs to interact with the file system, provides an interface that file system have to implement. And also it handles mounting IO requests that implemented eventually by device driver. And as I told you before, there are it supports more than one file system types. So it's maybe FAT32, NTFS, ext2, 3, 4, likewise, or else it goes on. And when talk about the structure, so this is how the structure looked like in Linux. So it's most of the things will be in home, and under that one users, you can create users, and in there the same like other distributions as well. So in here under user one, desktop, documents and music, and those things available same as user one, it will be available as user two. And also in here bin etc, form, opt, tmp, user, and var, those things will be available in the directory structure. So even in Windows also you can see in Windows also you can see different directory structures available. So in here it same as like that, but have some different folders. It's kind of a tree diagram in here, and those things are available in Linux. We will talk about these things. For your knowledge, just have an idea how the directory structure works. And this is just an sample image, and same like that, it's available in Linux as well. So in the directory structure, most of the standard is to use the slash and slash bin. So in here, if you go through one by one, slash bin is the common programs shared by the system administrator, and the user. So all the common programs and those things will be shown under bin and shared by the system, and it will show to the system administrator and the users. You can have many users, administrators as well. And for the slash boot, the startup files and the kernel, and VM Linux. In some recent distributions also grub data. Grub is the grand unified bootloader, and it's an attempt to get rid of the many different bootloaders we know today. So I'm not going to talk about the bootloaders and everything very detailedly. If you want, you can go through through the internet, and you can find what are the bootloaders, and we know, and those things are available. And slash dev, it's contains references to all the CPU peripherals hardware, which are represented as file with special properties. And the etc slash etc is most important system configuration files are in etc. This directory contains data similar to those control panel in Windows, same like Windows. And in here, the slash etc in under that one, under the etc folder, those configuration files are available. And slash home, it's the home directories of the common users. So in the home, all the documents and everything, all the common documents will be available in the home directory. In the next one, another important part is the library. It means slash lib. So library files includes files for all kinds of programs needed by system and the users. One major part is slash root. That's the administrative user home directory. Mind the difference between slash and the root directory and root, the home directory of the root user. So the root user is means the super user. So once you log in as a root user, then you can do whatever the things that you want to make changes in Linux in your system. You can delete, you can it means you have the administrative power, so you can change the things as you like. And also you can change, or else change means you can update, delete, or else do whatever the things that you want with the system. And slash usr, programs, libraries, documentations, and all the other user related programs will be available under usr. And slash var, storage for all variable files and temporary files created by users, such as log files, the mail queue, print spool area, space for temporary storage. Maybe you can keep image of a CD before burning it. So that directory is var. And so for the MNT, it's mount. So standard mount point for external file system for CD-ROM or digital camera, you can plug it and you can mount it. And under slash MNT, you can check all the external files and you can mount it. So in here, we'll talk about the Linux installation. Then after that, you can know the types of users and everything. So before going through that one, I will show you how to install Linux using virtual machine. And in here, you can go through, it will direct to for the demonstration page. Yes, so in here, uh, have a guide how to install a VirtualBox, and in VirtualBox how to install using VirtualBox how to install Ubuntu. So in here you have to download Ubuntu Server 20 LTS version, and after that you have to you have to download Ubuntu server. I think maybe 1.2 or 3, maybe kind of a GB will be the ISO file, and also you have to download VirtualBox. Better to download the VirtualBox in the latest version, and once you download it, you have to install VirtualBox in your PC. And after that, you have to create the VM using new button. You have to create the VM and you have to give it a name, and we have to select the OS type, and after that the version, and how you have to continue. And the VM, the memory size, you have to give it in MB. And after that, in here we have mentioned like 4 GB memory, and we have to continue. And then after that, we have to hard disk option and create virtual hard disk now, and then you have to continue. Select the type to VDI and the fixed size and continue. And just the size in here I have mentioned like 50 GB, and how to create the VM. So before this is how the basic things to do in VM. And also then it will take some time to create the VM. And after that we have to again you have to go to the settings, and you have to use for the networking setup, you have to use bridge adapter. In here automatically it will detect the wired connection. So at the meantime, you have better to use a wired connection network interface. If you're using wireless one, then there will be some issues. It will work with the wireless, but with the workshop that we are using, so we recommend you to use a LAN connection, wired connection to your PC or else the laptop. And after that, once you created that one, you have to change the network adapter, bridge adapter. Then we have to click OK. Then you have to select the ISO file. So in here you have to use the storage, and in here the image is given below, so you can go through that one, and then you have to select the choose a disk file. Then go through your download folders, and then you have to select the downloaded Ubuntu server ISO file. Then you have to select it and you have to click OK. Then there will be an icon called start the top of the application, and then you have to start it. It will take some time to load, and once it load, it will guide you through the installation. So for the installation also, I have given some small steps, and you can go through that one as well. So for this time, I will just show how to use the VirtualBox and to create VM for your Linux server installation. So first of all, I want to show how it done. Yeah, I think everyone can see the VirtualBox manager. So this is the VirtualBox. Once you install the VirtualBox, and then you will see uh, from the left side panel will be empty. Only tools will be available. So in here I have installed some other operating system as well. So in here you have to go through new. And once you, I think you cannot see that one. In here, once you click new, you have to give a name. So in here, I will use like Linux server, and automatically the type will be selected in here. If you, or else you can just use some other name as well. So if you give something like test, or else it sometimes it will detect the name, so it will automatically change the type of your OS. So in here I will let's say test Linux, and in here you have to, if the type is not selected, then you have to go through the drop down and you have to select the OS type. In here the Windows, Linux, Solaris, BSD, Mac OS, and other file systems are available. So in here, so we are going to install Ubuntu in here. So I will select Linux, and in here the versions and everything, other distributions will be shown in here. Debian, Fedora, Ubuntu, those things will be available. So I already downloaded the Ubuntu server version. So it's a 64-bit one. So I will select Ubuntu 64-bit. And once you name your VM and the type and the version, and if you have a this one is automatically it's detecting your machine folder, but if you want to create your VM in another virtual, I mean in another partition, then you have to select here and you can change your machine folder as well. So in here I'm just giving the default one, and I'm going to continue. And in here recommended memory size is 1 GB. So if you even after also you can change it, but if you change from here, it will shows in megabyte, then you have to convert it to gigabyte as well. I mean, if you let's say that it's around 2 GB memory, I will select it, or else you can type it. And so the RAM will allocate it to the virtual machine. Then you have to click continue. And here there will be a small description and about recommended size and everything. So in here you can go through this one, the description, and also in here I will use create a virtual hard disk now, and then you have to create. In here also the hard disk file type will be asked if you want a VDI or else VHD or VMDK. In here it will show the full format in here. So normally I will select PDI and I will give continue. And here you can use it dynamically allocated or else fixed size. So I will go through dynamically allocated physical hard disk, and I will just continue. And here it will ask for the virtual disk in megabyte. So in here you can go up to 2 TB. So normally 10 GB is for work, or else if you have more space in your hard disk, then you can increase it, or else you can use 15 or 20. I will just use 10 GB as a demonstration, and we have to click create. Once it's created, it will show it in the left side of the virtual box manager panel, and then you have to right click it and go to settings. This one is I'm using a Mac OS. Sometimes with the Windows it will be different from this one, but the same features, same application, but the GUI is a bit different in here. And here you can go to storage. In here, control ID, it's empty. In here you have to select empty, and there will be a small see disk guide icon will be available, and here you have to select it, and you have to choose a disk file, and it will direct you through to a disk downloads, or else if you have a separate folder, you can go through that one. And after that you have to select it, the ISO file, and you have to open it. And it's 1.24 GB image, and you have to click OK. So it's same like installing Windows using a live CD, or else even if you can, if you have a device, I mean external device, you can use it for your for your desktop, or else your PC, or else you can the thing is that we are using a VM in here. So in here we will use like this, and we have to click OK. Now the setup is done, and we have to start the PC. Then we have to click on start. In here it will take some time to load, to boot, and once it's loaded, you can go through, you can proceed the installation. Right. In here you can use your keyboard. There will be no any mouse pointers working in here. So everything is based on keyboard. So you can use your arrow keys to go to up and down, and you have to select the language. In here automatically selecting English, and then you have to click enter. In after that the newest version is available. So if you want to install the newest version, you can select in here the bottom part. You will be see update to the new installer, or else in here we are using the 20 LTS version. So I will just continue without updating. Even everything it's using we have to use to select your to select anything. I mean, you have to use the arrow keys. So in here, I will continue without updating. And here it will ask about the keyboard layout. So if you have a specific keyboard layout, you can use layout in here. By once you select the layout from using your arrow keys, then you have to use enter. You have to press enter. Then again in here you can select the layout and you can proceed. So normally the default layout and variant is enough, and we have to click on done. And in here for the network access, so ENP 0S3 is available, and automatically it will detect the DHCP, or dynamically it will allocate IP, or else if you uh, uh, have a specific IP address, then you can select ENPO 0S3, and you can click on enter. And after that, you have, if it is a IPv4 or LCP, if you have a IPv6 address, you can go through edit, then enter. Then IPv4 method, it's automatically selected automatic, but if you want a manual one, then you have to click on manual. Then you have to give the subnet address, gateway, name server, and other. If you have any domains, you can go give those strings, and you can save it. So in here, I'm just giving. I'm not giving anything. Just automatically it will allocate with the DHCP IP address in, and then you have to click on done. If you have a proxy address, then you can give it in here. So if you don't have one, just leave it blank, and you have to click on done. And if you have alternative mirrors for Ubuntu, then if you know any mirror for Ubuntu's address, then you can type it, or else it will automatically take a default address, and just leave it, and you can click on done. In here, it will show the guided storage layout, or else you can create a custom one. So in here, it automatically selected use an entire disk. So the thing is that I have created a 10 GB disk for this Linux installation. So, or else in here, you can go to custom storage layout, and let's say that you have different local disk available, and then you have to install using another local disk, then you can use custom storage. So I'm in here, I will just go through that one. I'm just showing how to do that one. Or else if you have any idea of creating a storage layout, then you have to create done. And in here, the available devices and those things, and then you have to create volume groups, LVM, and you can go through the installation. So in here, I'm not going to do that one, but for your knowledge, I'm just telling you that even if you have any storage configurations, then you can go through that one as well. So in here, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going back, and I'm selecting use an entire disk. So it will automatically locate for the allocated one, and set up this as an LVM group. And if you want for the encryptions, then you can select on encryption. So I'm not doing anything in here. I will just leave it at default. and I will click to proceed. So normally it will shows the file system summary. So for the booting, or it will take another 900 megabytes, and for booting purposes, and for the file type is ext4, and all the used devices and the BIOS space. And I'm not going through more detail, so you can click on to proceed, and it will ask you to confirm the destructive action. So the thing is that sometimes the data will be lost, and so the disk will be formatted. So it will ask you to do to continue, or else you have to go back, and if you have any changes you can do that one. And so in here, how you show you want to continue, I will, yes, I will continue, and I will click on continue. In here, it will ask your name. So in here, for accessing for you to for the Linux system, so I will use my name in here. Also, you can use the tab to change the fields, or else you can use the arrow keys as well. So I'm using the arrow keys, and so your server name I will use Linux server, and pick username I will use the username as test. So to choose a password, also I will use a simple password. Better to use a strong password in here. So otherwise, I mean, for testing purposes, you can use a small password, or if you are in a real time environment, if you're using if you are selecting a password, then use a strong password. That I think you know about how to use a strong password using special characters, simple capitals, numbers, and everything. Then you have to build a strong password as well. So if you have a strong password, then it will be a secure thing for your server. So in here, I'm just using a simple password. And so both the once you select a password in the first field, then also you have to use the same password for the second field to confirm. And once it confirm, if it is not confirmed, it will show the password do not match. So you have to change it, and you have to confirm your password. Once the fields are okay, then we have to proceed. And your Ubuntu Advantage token, if you want to enroll the system, so there will be no any tokens. So just click on done to continue. So in here, I will use OpenSSH, so remote access to your server. It will otherwise separately you have to install OpenSSH server. So in here, normally it will give the feature to install OpenSSH server in here. So for selecting purposes, you have to use the space bar, and also for deselecting, also you have to use the space bar. So it will show the X mark that it means that you have selected. So once you selected using the space bar, then using the down arrow, you have to select done, and you have to continue. And so popular snaps in server environment. So in here you can install some packages available in here, such like Docker, or else Google Cloud SDK. And if you have anything in your mind to work with this one, then you have to select using the space bar. And so in here, I don't have anything to install, so I will just go through using my down arrow. Then I will choose done to continue, and it will start installing the system. It will take some time. So at the meantime, for some time, it will take for the security updates and everything. It will take some time. I think you have an idea how to install Linux using the VirtualBox manager. So, I think if you have, if you can install that one, even in the hands-on demonstration, also it's available. I think you have an idea about how to use the steps and to install the Linux 20 LTS. It should be a server version, not the desktop version. And in here, it will take some time to install. The thing is that it's downloading and installing security updates, so that's why it's taking some time. And you can download it. First, you have to download VirtualBox. Then you have to download the Ubuntu server version. Now the latest version is available, but we are recommending with this workshop, we are using the 20.04, I guess, the version, and it should be an LTS version. And by using the steps that I have mentioned in here, in the demonstration page, you can go through that one. You can use the paths, and you can install, and you can experience the Linux. If you are new to Linux, it will be a new thing to you. And if you already know about the Linux and everything, so you can upgrade that one to 20. If it is an old version, you can upgrade it to a new version as well. So once it's up installed, it will reboot, and it will then it will ask you to log in. Then you have to use your given username and the password. Then you have to use login, and then you can use it. Right, until this one is going installing, I will go through the presentation. And yeah, we are back in the presentation. So the installation is it's installing, and it will take some time. It depends on your network. If it is a fast one, if it is have a bigger bandwidth, then it will download it and it will install. So in here, it's downloading and it's installing. So we stopped in here for the demonstration, right? So in here in Linux, there are types of users. So root user is available, normal user is available, system user is available. So root user is as I mentioned before, it's a super user. So as a root user, you can do whatever the things to the system for the Linux system, then you can change it, and with the you can use the kernel and do various things in Linux. For the normal user, other users that has access, so have some limited credential for the normal users also have the credentials, but not like root user. For some features will be not be available like root user. But if you want to do some critical means some tasks like deleting or something like that, then it will ask to use root permissions. And for the system user, an account used by an application. So these three types of users are available in Linux. Then we'll go through one by one. There are super user that by default one account can do anything. So no need to have many accounts. It's just one account is more than enough to do anything. So we call it root, and for it's a common name for as a super user. And for some Linux distributions, disable logging in as their user. So the root is powerful. It can change. As I mentioned before, you can do anything to file, and it can perform any function as well. So root is dangerous. Inexperienced users can break a system. Root can be exploited by attackers. So you have to limit what root can do remotely if you allow at all. So root means it's like administration privilege. So if you once you log in as a root user, you can do various things, not like the other two users. And so become another user, SU substitute user identity. So syntax is SU, and then you have options, and then you have to use a name. So sometimes it will ask password and to change the user. And once you can log in giving a password, and once you're done doing everything in there, you can quit. And so quit shell by typing exit. So in here we are using commands. So you have to be a bit familiar with commands if you are using Linux. And sudo executes a single command as another user. So sudo syntax we have to use in the shell. You can use sudo and the user command, and if not user is specified, root is assumed. So sudo if you want to be the root access, you have to type sudo su, and then you have to log in as the root. In here, user process programs you run typically interactively. So oftenly there are some cryptic names. These short words are using in shell commands. So these are some commands that we have to use in Linux. So the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, it's everything is based on CLI, command line interface. So there is no any mouse pointer is available. So there is no any graphical user, only black and white screen will be available in front of you. So if you want to use, you have to just use the keyboard and the commands. You have to type it and to go to change the directories and everything. You have to use the commands. You have to type the commands and you have to execute. So hundreds of programs included in base systems. Thousands of programs can be downloaded free. Thousands more can be purchased. So you can have many programs to be downloaded and you can use it. So there are some programs to purchase, but it's like 90% are available freely, so you can download it without paying any fee. And in here, using common commands. So once you the shell is available, you can use main, just man, and you have just, if you click on enter, then the display the manual. ls means the list, the content of the directory. pwd print working directory. cd means change directory. mkdir means make a directory. cp means copy. mv is to move. rm is to remove. Let me check whether it's installed or not. I think it's still going on. Right. So these are some basic commands and some common commands available to use. So better to know about these things. Otherwise, there will be some issues when doing the workshop. Let me check. So the format of a command is commands are programs and options modify commands. Typically a dash followed by a letter, and some utilities also allow dash word. And so commands act on parameters, and space are critical. So you need some space and some formatting to use a command. And yeah, I think I will show you the interface. Now it's installed my server, and I will show you some common commands using the Linux server. So I will just use some simple ones, and if you want to know about more commands, you can just use the Google, and you can, or else you can in YouTube, you can find various videos related to Linux. So there will be a big community for Linux, and you can will be available, so you can you can watch, or else you can learn those things. So I will share my screen in here. Right. So the Linux service installed. So in here, there will be no any graphical user interface is available, just black and screen white is available. Even if you can see that no any mouse pointer is available, only a blinking cursor is available. So in here I will use my login. I will use test as the username and the password is given. And yeah, another thing, you cannot see the password even if you type those things, even if it is, let's say that you typed it wrong, you cannot see. Let's say I just randomly type some letters, and if you enter, it will take some time and it will say login incorrect. So again, we have to try. So in here, the login name is I use test, and the password is a simple one. So there will be no any asterisk marks, or else nothing will be available in here. Just the blinking bar will be available in here. So I type the password and I just enter in here. This is the main page, main desktop kind of a field. Yes, so it will be available in here. So the date, time, and yeah, the time is not correct. We have to change that as well. And so memory space, memory usage, sub usage, users logged in, and the IPv4 address is available, and those things are available in here. And so so this one is the test user, and as I told you before, this is just the a normal user. And if you want to use the root, if you want to use the admin privilege, then you have to use sudo su. Then you have to enter, then will ask the password for test. So you have to give the given password, and now you are working as a root user. And in here, we'll use ls. You have to type ls, and once you enter, there will be no any file available. You have to change the directory cd space, you have to use double dot. Yeah, and now the list, if you click on if you type ls and enter execute, only the test user is available. So likewise, you can use cd and you can change the directory. cd is for change directory, and double dot means you have to go back. And then if you want to go to, let's say that usr, then you have to cd usr. Now you are changed to the usr directory. Likewise, you have to do some hands-on experience, and you have to explore new things. So this one is, so for example, I use ls, then let's say man, then you have to man, you have to, for the examples, try man. Okay. Manual page utils will be appear. To go to down, we have to use down arrow, or else you can enter. And you have to exit. Right. And we talk about the format of a command and then find, edit, paste command. So drive up arrow, type history, and run a pass command by typing a number. Looking for something particular, you have to check on these things. So let's say like to check the given executed commands, you have to type history and enter. So these things will be available. So have use ls, have change directory, have use history. Just now I use history, so it also available. And the things that I have executed, those things are available in the history. So so in here, let's say that run a pass command by typing a number. So let's say that you have to use the 10, same like that. So I have given exclamation mark and the number, you have to type it, then you have to enter to execute. So it will redo that one. So in here I will use to exit I will in control Z is for to exit from this one, from the manual. Or else you can use Q to quit. So if you're looking for something particular, let's say that you have to looking for something exact thing, so then you have to history, then the straight line and grep and the command name. Likewise, you can use for something particular. To view configuration files, so in here, if you want, you have to use cat and the file name and more. Cat means display a file content, and more for pagination displays, and less pagination with search and more. Changing file usually requires an editor. So we will talk about editors later. And then let's see, ls for the list. It's a directory. Right. For the file name, you have to give a file name. So in here, we'll go to bin. Right, I will go through this one a bit later. So first we'll talk about the Linux editors. So whatever the things that you have to create, or else if you want to use, or else if you want to change, then you have to use the CLI mode. So it means the Linux editor mode we have to change. So there are some editors like Nano, VI, Vim. So mostly VI is using, or else Nano is using. So once, so better to use few editors. I mean, to practice some more than 2-3 editors, then it will be easy for you to edit text files. I will just show this one. I will just change the directory and I will go through cd user. Inside the USR directory, I'm going to create a small file. So I will use the cat command. And the file name, I will use the file name as new file and as a txt file. Hold on a second. Yeah, you have to use the touch command to create a new file. So if you put ls in here, you have created a new file.txt. So like that, you can create new file. And also if you want to make a directory in dir test. Yeah, the last one you can see, I think it's in blue color. The test folder is available. So same like using the mouse pointer, right click and creating a new folder. Same like that, we are just using the command lines to create the folders or else for the files. So if you let's say that you're using the forward and back arrows in GUI, so same like that, we have to use cd to change the directory. If you want to go to the to open the test directory, then you have to use cd test. Now you are in the test directory. If you want to go back to user directory, then you have to cd double dot. So let's say that you have to in here, yeah, for the for use the editor. Let's say that you want to edit the new file.txt, they have to use nano new file.txt. And now the text file is opened, and then you have to type in the text file. So you to the options are given in below: to exit, get help, write out, read files, to search VITs, and the replace, cut, paste, justify, to spell, and undo, redo, and everything is there. So in here I'm using in Mac I'm using control to write, to save this file. I'm just using control O to write out. Then the file name is to write to this new file.txt, or else if you can change it. So I will use it as the same, and you have to press enter. Now it's saved, and you have to exit. And if you want to check, and another thing, and if you for the early executed commands will be available using the up arrow, and within the down arrow, if you go through up and down arrows, then those executed commands will be available. It's like a history. And if you type history, these are the things that I have executed. Then the 31 is the mistaken one. The 32 is the the corrected one. Just now I created that one. And here to edit the file again, and the hello world is available. And if you want to, for the next, for create a new line, then you have to just enter. So in here I will use as test. So I changed the new file text, and so without saving that one, I'm going to exit using the Control X, and it will ask save modified buffer. It means that whether you want to save it, the change or not. Then if you just I want to say Y, and it will automatically ask you to save. I said yes using Y, and again then you have to enter. Now it's saved. So same like that. So you can use the editor that I used was Nano, or else you can use Vim. Docs text. So in here it's a bit different than Nano. So there will be, even though if I enter, nothing will be happen. To use this Vim editor, then you have to use I. You have to type I, then automatically it will show insert. To exit from inserting, then you have to press escape I for insert. And if you done doing something, let's say that edit this one, then you have to press on esc. Then colon, in the bottom of the window you can see, and you have to WQ means write and quit. If you want to W, just W it. Now it's written, and you have to colon and you have Q. It means you quit the editor. So that's why I told you that you have to better to know about different editors. So otherwise, if you can use as one editor, let's say that a Nano editor, then you can experience in Nano. If you are familiar with Vim, if you want to familiar with Vim, then you have to use the Vim editor, or else the VI editor or Emacs editor. So likewise, you have to go through all the editors. The thing is that some editors are different to another. So those things will be some new things if you are new to Linux, and if you are already know about the editors, then there will be no any issue as well. And let's go through the VI editors. So starting with VI, opening or creating a file, VI name. VI means then VI, then after that you have to type VI, then after that you have to use the file name. So in here, VI modes of operation, command modes. So in here allows the entry of commands to manipulate text. Default mode when VI starts, and use escape key to move into command mode. So it means you have to use escape key to move into command. So for insert mode, puts anything you type into the current file. To get into insert mode command area, in here, then you have to insert I in the command. Then only you will be able to enter any details in there. So otherwise, you cannot change anything in the VI mode. So when you talk about the file permission, it's a Linux is a multi-user system. So different users can execute different files. So checking file permissions using ls-l. So in here, let's say ls -l in here, you can see different file permissions are given into different directories. For bin, it's drw xr-xr-x, like such permissions are given. So it's like kind of a, even no one, if you are familiar with, if you are a person who familiar with Linux, then you know what it means. But if you are new to Linux, then it will be kind of a new thing. It means you don't know what does it mean. So we are going to talk about those things right now. And in here, user groups and privilege types are available. So Linux understands users and groups. User can belong to several groups. A file can belongs to only one user and one group at a time. So only root can change the ownership of a file. Privilege types. So these privilege types are available: read, write, and execute. So only root can change the ownership of a file. And with the normal users and the system users, they cannot use anything to change the ownership of a file. Only root can change. A program mostly run by a user when the system starts, or by another process, and before the program can execute, the kernel inspect several things. So these are the things that inspect: is the file containing the program accessible to the user or group of the process what wants it to run it, and is the file containing the program permit execution by the user group. And in most cases, file executing program inherits the privilege of the user process who started it. So these things will be inspect before the program can execute. So the file permission in detail, yeah, in here, let's type and see what does it mean. ls -l, and there will be a space in between here and the rest of the command. So in here, let's say ls -l space us top. In here, you will see -r wxr xr -x1, then root 129072 September 9 2021, and then the path will be shown in green color, /user/bin/top. So what does it mean? So the file permission details are, the hyphen indicates a file, D indicates a directory, I indicates a link, and RWX means read, write, and execute permissions for the owner of the file. And R in here, R hyphen means read, write, and execute permissions for members for the group of owning the file. And R hyphen means read, write, and execute permission for other users. So if you already installed Linux, and if you type this one, and you can get the you can see this type of a record, and you can check with in here. So the file in detail. One means the link count is, and with the first root is the owner, second root is the group, this one is the owner, and this one is the group, and this one is the size, and this one is modification date, and the modification time, and the file name. So those are the things that was available as I shown in my terminal. And if you are already using Linux, you can type it and you can check whether these details are coming. This is the command, and you can type it and see. And the access rights, files are owned by user and a group, so it calls ownership. And file have permission for the user, the group, and other. Other permission is often referred as world. The permissions are read, write, and execute. So it means R for read, write for W, X for execute. The user who owns a file is always allowed to change its permissions. And when changing the file permissions, there are two ways: using commands. So normally the file permissions can be changed using chmod. It means change modifications. There are two commands, two ways: symbolic mode and absolute mode. So we are going to check about this, what is symbolic mode and absolute mode. So the first one is the symbolic mode, uses letters plus and minus to give permissions. Plus means adding, the minus means removing the permission. So letters are used as follows: U is for user, G is for group, O is for other, R we use for read, W write, E for execute. And plus to add permission, minus is to remove a permission. So these are the symbolic modes. So in here, you can create a test file and you can give the permissions. So it means that in here, the chmod G plus X test file, it means that minus R, not minus R, hyphen R, hyphen R, hyphen, and XR, and hyphen, so on. So in here, for your for information, the U is for user, G is for group, O is for other. So in here, according to the letters that we have used, you can use for symbolic mode, for examples. And to check the examples, you can use these commands and you can execute and see. And for the absolute mode, we are using the number base 8 values represent like this. So use octal values. So for the in here, the number and the permission type is available. 0 is no permissions, 1 is execute, 2 is write, 3 execute and write, and 4 is read. Fifth one, number 5 is for read and execute. Number 6 is for read and write. Number 7 is read and read, write, and execute. So I think for those who are familiar with Linux, they know about chmod 777. And so it's like, if you're giving the read, write, and execute permissions for the files. And the symbolic mode examples, test file has permissions of, so it means read, write, and execute. So in here, you can view the permissions like in here, chmod you have to type chmod, then you have to give the permission type. 445 means read and execute. So 445, same like that. You can change the permissions according to requirements, and then you can test the file using the test that given command, whether the file is to check whether the specific file has the permissions of what type of permission is given. So likewise, you can give the absolute mode is the easiest way to give that one, to give the permissions. So rather than the symbolic method, rather than giving like this letters. And for the software management for the command line, so dpkg is the Debian Ubuntu Software Manager. So yeah, this one is the package manager. So you have to let's say you can type and see whether the commands are working. Dpkg space git selections, and you can see the packages which I installed in the Linux server. And also you can use the I will show my desktop and it will be easy. So, and then for the reconfiguration, you can use dpkg reconfigure and the package. And for the purge remove the software and all, you can use the purge. And so to apt is the best way to use the packages. Apt cache search is what is to see what is available. Apt get update is list of what available, and apt get install software and dependencies. So these are some basic software management commands. So you can use these things and you can see and you can install, or else you can update according to your requirement. Likewise, you can use these command executions. And the next one is about scripting. Shells like bash and cone have support for programming constructs that can be saved as scripts. So many Linux commands are scripts. So most of the things are based on scripts, and we are running all the scripts and we are executing those things. So to run a script, user should have execute privileges. So you can do condition loops, pass variables, and other different programming concepts in your scripts. So you can check and you can run those scripts in Linux. So also you can debug those things as well. When we talk about the package management more, its system is derived from a same system used by a Debian GNU Linux distribution. The package files contains all of the necessary files and metadata instructions to implement a particular functionality or software application on your Ubuntu computer. So that is about package management. And so in here we are talking about the installing and removing about a package. So install a package. Installation of packages using the apt tool is quite simple. For example, installing Nmap network scanner, type following. You can just, it's a small software to install. You just type sudo, means that giving the permission as root. Sudo, even though I'm in root, I will use type it apt install nmap. In here you will ask to continue. Likewise, you can install packages, and also to remove package. So same instructions, just we have to use remove nmap, then sudo apt remove nmap. It will ask whether you would be remove, and it will be this much of this space will be freed, like, then you have to remove, and yeah, then it's done. Same like that. So it's to download and everything. So the Linux system should be connected to internet, otherwise you cannot do anything. And so everything is free, most of the things are free and freely available, and you can using the scripts, the commands, and you can execute. And in here to update, then you have to use sudo apt updates. So in here, apt package index is essentially a database of available packages from the repositories, defining the this path etc apt sources.list. So in here, in the directory, and to update the local packages index with the latest changes made in the repositories, type the following. So in here, if you type sudo apt update, and it will update, and it will take some time, and it will complete the update, and it will show the completion of the update. And same like that, you have to update the packages. And also to upgrade, so the previous one was update and this one is upgrade. So over time, updated versions of packages currently installed on your computer may become available from the package repositories. So even in the, once you log in to the system, it will show that how much what are the security updates are available. So if you have to just give a reboot to update, and automatically it will update and restart the machine. So same like that. So mostly the security updates will be available, and you can have to upgrade and or else update according to your need. And these are some system handling commands. So view running process in Linux, you have to type top the first several lines, how to output provide system statistics. In here, CPU memory load and total number of running tasks, those things will be available. And in here, using one running process and 55 sleeping. So let's type and see in here. You have to just type top. In here, you can see one running and 95 sleeping and 4 stop. And the swap memory and everything is available, and those things, and the process and the users. So those things are available in here. And for the next one is to analyze usage for the current directory and any subdirectories. So type du and c. So it goes like this. The thing is that I'm in the user directory, so that's why it showed like that. And if you go through that one, and yeah, it's use the current directory. And so in here it shows like du. Just type it and see, and you will looks something like this, or else something like that I have shown you before. And then the system handling in here, host name and version. Just type uname Linux. So mostly common used to determine process architecture and to know about the kernel running on the system. So type just uname and execute. For in here memory information, so you can use in here you will have to know about how much memory the computer has, and the displays the information and the info located in the proc directory. So let's type and see what gives the output. Cat space, you have to use a space in here, and yeah, the memory information is giving in here. You can see, you can type it and see in there in your own computers in your Linux virtual environment. You can type it and execute. In here, a detailed information will shown. And in here, to get the CPU information, you can type it like this. So it will show the model name, hertz, cache size, and everything related to the CPU, your processor. Also, I have mentioned some network related commands in here. You can use netstat commands, display various network related information. It will show the routing tables, interface statistics, and connections. Just type it and see. In the first command will show the listening and non-listening sockets. The second one will list all the TCP ports, and the third one for the UDP ports, and the next one listening ports, listening TCP ports, listening UDP ports, such like that. These are some examples, but there are many network related commands are available. You can go through with the internet and you can see those things. I will type the first one. And in here, it will ask you to install NetTools. And if you execute the command again, yeah, in here it will show the both listening and non-listening sockets available in the network. So if you use to go through, you have to enter to exit from that command. You have to just press Q, then automatically will quit. So same like that. To listen to all the TCP ports, you can use netstat -80 in here. All the TCP ports will show in here. And also some basic things like ping. To check the network connectivity, you can use ping, or else if you know the IP address, you can type the IP address, or else if you want to ping with the website, you can use ping and the website, and you can execute to check the network connectivity. So its ping is short for packet internet grouper. So this command is mainly used for checking the network connectivity among host, server, and host. So the ping command takes the URL or IP address. So you can use ping and test. You have to just use ping and in here you can see so I am using 888 for the Google DNS. So if you have another thing to another DNS to ping, then you can use something else in here. And so that is another command for ping. So another thing is for trace path. So trace path command is to allow the trace path to the destination path, determining MTU along with path UDP ports or any other ports that will not require any super user permission. So in here, in trace path and the destination, let's say the Google. In here, it will show the path. So I just stop that one. So same like that. If you have any, the trace paths will be differ from network to network. So you can try and see the trace path command as well. So in here, there's another options are given along with the trace path command. So syntax is given below. So you can use it and you can execute the commands. So thank you very much. So if you have any questions, you can ask from us, or if you have anything that you can drop in the chat box. I think sometimes it may be confusing. The thing is that if you are new to Linux, the thing is that everything is in CLI, command line interface, and there is no any GUI available. And if you have anything related to Linux, we are here to help you. I hope that you have a basic idea about Linux. I didn't go through, didn't make it more deep, just the basics of Linux and the commands. You can go through the presentation as well. It's in the agenda, or else you can, if it is to make it more clear, you can check other resources as well. If you are interested to work with Linux and open source, then you can, it's the best time to explore new things. So it may be a bit challenging for you to work with Linux. The thing is that most of the people are working with Microsoft, I mean Windows. So it means that it's the GUI part, and we are just using the CLI. And if you have anything, just can ask from us. And another thing that I want to mention, even I mentioned earlier, with the VirtualBox, you should use a wired connection. If you are using wireless connection, some connectivity issues will happen. So better to use the wired connection to mitigate the errors. It's better to install VirtualBox, and you can go through the demonstration how to install the Linux server. And in the meantime, you can go through the second session. In there are some and lab. I think we have to go through some downloads, I guess. to set up the basic lab. So in there, I think better to download those things and go through some, have a brief idea about it. Just go through and read those things. And if you have any questions, you can raise hand, or else you can unmute your microphone. You can ask questions, or else you can drop a message. In here, I am getting some questions through the chat window. Mm. I guess it's almost 10. I think it's better to take the lunch break, and we will meet around 1:30 with session 2. Our engineer Geetika will be do the session 2 and with the lab setup and everything. So in the meantime, I will reply you to your questions, and yeah, we'll meet around 1:30.